TEDx Portland Year 13 is coming to the Keller Auditorium on Saturday, April 26. This promises to be Portland's most inspirational, educational day of the year with 10 talks, 1 interview, and 7 live performances. Headliners include soccer legend Christine Sinclair, Grammy-nominated rapper Logic, Ivan McClellan from 8 Seconds Rodeo, artist and public joy creator Mike Bennett, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at TEDxPortland.com. You can use promo code RADIO13 for 13% off.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about how a lot of Portlanders are feeling better about our city these days. That's despite the fact that a lot of metro area voters still don't quite seem to know just what it is our local government does. Plus, we'll dive into our mailbag to hear from you, our listeners. Joining me on this midweek roundup is our very own senior producer, Giulia Fiaoni. It's Wednesday, April 2nd. I'm executive producer John Notarianni in for Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Hello, and welcome to the midweek microdose of news. This is a chance for us to catch up on some of the stories that have been catching our eye, but we haven't had a chance to talk about on the show just yet. Julia is here with me. Hey, Julia.
Good morning.
So before we get into the meat of it today, a big reminder that we've got our giant 503-day celebration coming up on May 3rd. That is the totally real, totally new holiday for Portlanders to celebrate Portland. And this year we're going big. We are throwing a giant block party in downtown Portland. It's going to be happening on Southwest 3rd and into Ankeny Alley on May 3rd. That's a Saturday. Get it? 503.
503.
Starts at 1 p.m., ends 5 hours and 3 minutes later at 6:03 p.m., and it's free for everyone. Julia, what are we doing? What's going to be happening here?
Oh, man. So many things that we're so excited to enjoy with all of you. I want to emphasize it is free, so please bring everyone you want to be there to celebrate. And
that, oh man, is a little bit of a sigh of both excitement and exhaustion because Julia is doing so much organizing right now to make this happen.
It's all packed in my brain. I wish I could just cut my brain out and stick it on the table and be like, here it is. But the thing is, I want to emphasize that it's 503 Day because of our area code, 503. We're getting creative here. Follow along. There's going to be live music. There's going to be live karaoke that you can participate in with a live band. You're going to feel like a rock star. There's going to be a podcast taping of our show at the end of the evening. We'll have food and drinks and vendors from all your favorite local people. We're going to have a costume contest. John, do you want to explain this part?
Yes. So we've been cooking this up. We're calling it the Portland Icons Costume Contest. And the idea is think about your most iconic Portland person or thing, maybe?
Yes.
I would love to see a Vera Katz costume out there. I want to see a Paul Bunyan, the Kenton statue out there.
I want to see a St. John's Bridge representation out there.
I want to see some bridges out there. If you can pull off a fountain, you are strongly in competition. But yeah, come dressed as your most iconic Portland person, place, or thing, I guess we can call it.
You could be Mount Tabor. There's so many ideas.
It's a good costume. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And I want to emphasize again, everyone is welcome. We've been saying from babies to grandmas. So get grandma out there. Get grandpa out there. You can bring your dog. Just make sure to leash that thing. And we want to know that you're coming. So please RSVP. You can go directly to our website, portland.citycast.fm. There's a giant banner at the top of our website that says 503 Day. Click there. All the information is there. You can RSVP on our Eventbrite. Get your friends to RSVP. We're going to be there. We're going to be hanging out. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. And we're going to be rolling out a lot more details in the coming weeks. But when you do RSVP, you're going to get the fast track to the latest updates of what's going to be happening. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Yeah.
All right, Julia, let's get into the news. What are you looking at this week?
Yeah, so I'm talking about some reporting from Austin De Dios at the Oregonian, and they're disgusting, apparently.
Stays in.
And they're discussing how there are a lot of Portland area residents that don't realize that there are many government-funded services that they're benefiting from every day. And this is coming from a poll that the Oregonian took recently of 600 residents in the Tri-County area that says over a third of Portland area voters said they hadn't used a local government service in the last year, and that only 22% said they had used such a service once a month or more in the last year. So quite a small amount. But here's the twist. In that same poll, a large majority of the same respondents reported regularly utilizing and enjoying parks and natural areas, libraries, public splash pads, the bus, building permits, and even the Oregon Zoo, which people don't realize are all services provided by our local governments. So it's kind of funny, but here's the thing. Researchers claim this is because people think that government resources are usually things that are related to welfare benefits that you have to qualify for, like food stamps and discounted transit. But researchers also say this doesn't mean that people are dumb, but that people are just kind of too busy to realize, and they're also misinformed. And also, government services in Portland are structured in a really confusing way. I mean, we mess it up all the time, sometimes repeatedly on the show, when it comes to knowing whether the city or the county or metro are responsible for something.
Apologies to Peabody and TriMet.
Yes.
Mixed up more than once.
It overlaps, it looks the same, it sounds the same, but there is a system to it. And even, for example, issues with housing and homelessness, there's a lot of county and city overlap there. And even resources from the state come in at that point. John, I feel like I don't even have to ask you if you're surprised to hear this. I swear, like, explaining these things to ourselves and our readers and our listeners is like half of our job every day. But what came to mind when you read this?
I mean, it's just so interesting to think about how at this point, government is one of those things that you don't notice it until it doesn't work. And I think that that's sort of by design, right? Like, nobody's walking over a bridge and thinking, my gosh, I'm so glad that this bridge is structurally sound, right? We only get the sort of alarm bells when something goes wrong. So it's not at all surprising that people just aren't thinking of it. But like, yeah. And also interesting just to think that like government is a little bit of a boogeyman word, even in Portland, right? Like you were saying, it only happens when people are dealing with issues like crime or homelessness or welfare, right? Like the government is associated with bad things. And I'm not here to be like, yay, government all the time. But, you know, our taxes do pay for a lot of stuff that we use every day. Yeah.
No, and there are always some fun surprises there, too, that I still learn about. I remember a couple years ago when we were talking extensively about the arts tax, we found out that the arts tax goes to fund things like murals and comedy in the park in the summertime and things that you enjoy that really don't seem government related at all. So it's something that I feel like folks could be more aware of, but at the same time, do we need to be? Because it's just how those things are supposed to work.
Yeah. And it's also interesting thinking about the pockets of government spending that people are really clued in on. Like, we also got another email recently from a listener that was like, what's going on with the homeless services measure and the tax associated with that? Like, where is that money going, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, let's be real. Government budgets are huge. We are going through the process of sort of setting a new city budget. And we've sort of looked over some of the initial documents. And it's like, it would take us months to explain all of this on the show. I feel like our listeners sort of are on that tip already. I feel like if you're in the know enough to be a listener of CityCast Portland, you can sort of look at this article as well and be like, yeah, duh, obviously. But it is a super interesting data point.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, these polls that the Oregonian has been doing with DHM research are always a favorite of mine when they come out. They've been doing them pretty regularly. And I want to look at another facet of this. But first, let's take a quick break.
Have you heard of bookshop.org? They're an online marketplace whose entire mission is to support local independent bookstores. The way it works is every time you buy a book through bookshop.org, you can choose an independent bookstore to directly support with your purchase. Just select your favorite neighborhood shop from across the street or across the country. I know a lot of us are trying to wean ourselves off Amazon, so here's a great option. And you'll feel good knowing that with bookshop.org, your money is supporting your local community and helping indie bookstores continue to foster culture, curiosity, and a love of reading for generations to come. Use the code CityCast to get 15% off your next order at bookshop.org.
Take me out to the ball game.
What are you doing?
Did you know DirecTV has the most MLB games?
So, you're singing.
Yeah, they put your favorite teams front and center right when you turn it on. Buy me some cold cuts and flapjacks.
Those aren't even the words.
I'm allergic to peanuts.
Stream DirecTV, home of the most MLB games. Visit directtv.com. Claim based on total games offered on national and regional sports networks. RSNs available with choice package or higher. Availability of RSNs varies by zip code and package.
All right, I want to look at two more articles that sort of came out of this dump of polling data from the Oregonian. One by Julia Silverman, one by Shane Dixon Kavanaugh. First thing that's interesting that's coming out, people are feeling more positively about Portland all of a sudden. Da, 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 surprise, surprise. Yeah, like within the past year, people are like, all right, feeling better about our city. People are feeling more positive about downtown in the last year. Drugs and public safety as top concerns are going down. The percentage of people who believe the region is headed in the right direction has increased from 22% up to 28%. I mean, still, that's not huge, but like that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of data points that show that people are feeling better about downtown Portland. And at the same time, they're feeling better about our elected leaders. I don't know if you saw this one. This just came out this morning, Julia. Hopefully this is not an April Fool's joke, but
That would be so cruel.
I know. They're like, ha ha. So it'll be especially cruel when you hear what this fact is. 42% of Portlanders said they had a positive impression of Mayor Wilson. Only 16% had a negative impression of him.
Wow,
which,
that's really good.
Well, I mean, but compare this. Last April, you remember good old Ted Wheeler?
Yes,
At this
that's what I
time,
was saying.
only 24% of Portlanders said they approved of Wheeler back then. So, like,
I do remember that.
there is just, in this moment of like crazy national uncertainty and a lot of friction with national politics, there is sort of a lot of people in Portland looking around and going, you know what? This isn't so bad.
You know, what's funny about this is reminding me of a part of the conversation we had last week during our Friday roundup when we were talking about government overreach and how the thing that this federal government administration is directly looking at and threatening are local issues, local governments, things even like local level voting that fortunately Portland's kind of been about for a long time. Portland's really been pretty hardcore about our local issues and communities, so much so that we kind of have already like a really robust system and robust priorities around that. So it seems like we've been ready to face that and to lean into that and to feel encouraged and grateful and hopeful on that level. It's like we've been preparing for something that we didn't really know was coming. But the thing that I'm reminded of every day putting this show together is the fact that folks really, really care about what's going on in their direct neighborhoods, in their communities. We have people that are really leaning into the work that they're doing. We have journalists who are reporting on it and listeners who are excited to hear about it. So I feel like we're in a directly beneficial position, John, that we just get to hear about it all the time, which makes me feel specifically really comforted by a lot of what's happening right now.
To say that this podcast makes you feel comforted is, I'm glad to hear that, Julia, because I feel like we spend plenty of time talking about bad news.
I know.
But yeah, like, you know, in relation to what is happening in other parts of the country, like, I think that's fair. And I think that that was sort of reflected in this data. This part of it is more anecdotal, but the Oregonian piece did point out that a lot of people are saying that they're more appreciative of Portland's progressive values and that like negative perceptions of Trump seem to have boosted local politicians' esteem in the eyes of Portlanders and Oregonians. Because it's not just Wilson. They said that Governor Tina Kotek's negative ratings have decreased as well.
Yeah.
And in some of the conversations that they have with respondents, they just sort of talk about a sense of solidarity and community defense against like both political challenges and just economic issues that are happening right now. So
Yeah. And I will say, we know that these percentage points are pretty, it's a small increase, right? Like large majority of people are still feeling pretty pessimistic. But the fact that there is any improvement right now with how much so many different communities are in a bit of a doom cycle and there's just a lot of negativity seeping into everything, that is a huge accomplishment that we're moving in a positive direction. It doesn't seem like the time for it, I will say. So it's cool to see.
All right. Well, let's jump into the mailbag, a chance for us to hear from you, our listeners, and our readers. This was another week where we had so many emails and so many good emails from all of you. So thank you, everybody who's been writing in. We wish we could read all of your emails because they're so great. But, we also want to give you a manageable podcast to listen to each morning. So.
Yes, we're keeping it manageable.
Julia, why don't you kick it off?
So this one's from listener Nate E. And this comment was inspired by an episode we did on Portland toxic traits. So things that Portlanders do that maybe aren't so great. It was an episode with a local comedian, Jay Fluelling. And this is what Nate E. had to say. Quote, "One of Portland's bad habits to me is everyone honking their horns in the tunnel. There is no legal or safety reason to honk your horns. It creates a, quote, boy who called wolf situation. What happens when someone ignores your genuine honk and sideswipes into you? Sorry, I had to get that off my chest." I totally get.
This is such a good one.
I just think that, like, the thing is we've set a precedent that we just don't honk. So any honk is perceived as not a useful honk. It's just a joyful honk. So it's like, duh, of course we're all going to honk in the tunnel. We're not going to honk at any other time. So there isn't ever going to be a perception of one thing versus the other.
I recently was driving through the tunnel with someone who's not from Portland, and I could see them tense up, like, what's going on? Like, what is happening to? And I was like, oh, no, that's just what happens. That's just what happens in this tunnel. It's normal. But it was so great to see someone who wasn't expecting it.
No, it's because where they're from, they probably honk for bad things only. There's probably no...
Which is what they're for.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a toxic trait on its own. We could totally keep talking about that. But
oh my gosh.
John, I know you have another one.
This one's from listener Gray J. And it was inspired by a recent episode we did with the Nightmare of Philadelphia, Raheem Manning. A number of cities have been hiring nighttime economy directors. And we reached out to Raheem to see if this was something that might be an idea that would work in Portland. Here's Gray J's note. I didn't vote for either of these people in their respective bids for government positions, but this seems like a perfect position for someone like Leave Osthus or Jesse Burke. Those were two people that were in the last round of elections. Well, one for mayor, one for county commission. Two very different people, and Gray J points that out. It says one extremely passionate about Portland's arts and culture scene, the other all about bringing business back to downtown. If they could work together, they might make a great combo to co-chair such a position. And then goes on to say, I've been pretty vocally opposed to Live Nation opening a venue in Portland, but Manning's take on taxing venues like that and allowing the smaller spaces to flourish isn't such a bad idea. I'm curious if we could get something like that to work here in Portland.
Yeah.
My take, hell yes on both of these. What do you think?
Yeah, me too. I think we need a nightmare. And honestly, not to call back 503 Day, but working with some of the businesses in that district that run nightclubs and things like that, it's really emphasizing that point. They're wanting opportunities to be more plugged into the community, to feel like an extension of the way that our city spends its time. So I feel like we're primed for it right now.
Yeah, I do say if we do hire this position, we have to be careful to say night mayor because it sounds like we're saying nightmare. We do not need a nightmare. We need a night mayor.
John, I have another one for you from listener Greg.
Yeah.
This one is inspired by a recent Friday roundup episode from last month talking about our city's proposal to build more sidewalks on both the east and west side. And Greg said, so building sidewalks where there's a curb is very expensive, but most of the streets without sidewalks don't have curbs. The purpose of the curb is to transport water to catch basins into pipes. With no curb, the water sheds to the side of the street, into trenches or whatever, it kind of builds up. So as soon as you build a curb, you have to build all the stormwater facilities needed to handle the newly managed water. Then he linked to a project that was only for a half a mile of a sidewalk in Southwest, and it costed a total of $30 million for just that half mile because they needed massive sewer and piping to be put in. But the thing is that East Portland does have sewer pipes already, so it wouldn't be as expensive as this Southwest Portland half mile, but it's still very, very expensive. So he kind of just lays out like the possibilities of what it could look like to get sidewalks everywhere and how it's even more complicated literally under the surface than we may realize.
Okay, here's my idea to fix this. let's stop the rain. No one likes the rainy season. They're all like, it's raining. If we stop the rain, we can have summertime in Portland all the time. We don't have to spend $30 million on sewers. I think it's a great idea. Take it to your council person.
John, I hate to call this back, but that sounds like a nightmare.
just an endlessly sunny Portland.
Everything would be on fire. That's a terrible idea. I see where you're going, though. This March rain, now April, has been so dragging for me. So in the right moment, I think you could get people on board. But who knows?
Right.
Everything might be on fire.
Okay. Well, I've got one last one for y'all. I think this is one that we can agree on. This is from listener Nathan, who lives in Overlook and was talking about our Overlook neighborhood guide that we put together recently with Jenna Bikes and her husband, Nick Hoda, calling out one spot that wasn't mentioned that we missed, which was La Bonita. Here's what Nathan says. My partner and I go to La Bonita at least once a week. It's a neighborhood staple. Yes, a local chain and a very good one. Their garden burrito is one of the best veggie burritos in the city. The music and salsa consistently impress, and their guacamole and handmade tortillas are worth writing home about. The staff is friendly and the service is fast. What's not to love? And maybe most importantly, their burritos transport splendidly for picnics on the bluffs. And he signs it, Nathan from Overlook, parentheses, not the triangle part, which, if you know, you know. I co-signed this one 100%. I actually recently, Julia, I wrote back to Nathan telling him this. A month or two ago, I was trying to pick up a burrito on my way to go to Timberline to go snowboarding after work. And they were like suddenly closed. It was like a Thursday and they were just like randomly not open. And I was like, is La Bonita closing? And I was so upset for like 24 hours until they were open again the next day. So I don't know what was going on there, but they are definitely open and their food is great.
The panic. Honestly, listening to you read out this note, John, this sounds like my weekend plans. I don't know if y'all know, but it's going to be warm this weekend. A burrito at the Bluffs?
Sounds
You
pretty
might see me
good.
there.
Well, Julia, thanks so much for going through all of this and for hanging out. And again, thank you so much to everybody who wrote in. We just can't say enough about how many emails we've gotten. We'd love to hear from you. You can always shoot us an email at portland@citycast.fm, and we will try and get it into the next one of these little mailbag segments when it comes back around.
Yeah.
But yeah, Julia, thank you. And only a couple days to go till your burritos at the Bluffs weekend adventure.
Thank you, and see you at 503 Day, guys.
Well, that's all for us here today on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening, though. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend about it or leave us a rating or a review? We'll be back tomorrow with a lot more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.